I started a podcast about podcasting. This might be a mistake, maybe or maybe not, but we'll have to find out. Welcome to Podnovation, the podcast where I talk about podcasting while actively questioning all my life choices. I am your host, Wisdom Okonkwo, and today's episode is why I am doing this to myself. Why am I starting a podcast about podcasting? Like, dude, there are literally a ton of podcasts about podcasting, and all of them, they're great in your respective regard. They have their own differentiation, their angle, their approach, their own unique selling point, right? But you see, starting a podcast is like a hyperactive raccoon. It seems fun at first, then suddenly you are awake at 3 a.m. editing out mad noises, and then you start asking yourself, so why did I start a podcast about podcasting? Let's get into it. Let's break it down. Let's have some discussion. Bring your coffee, tea, whatever you drink, and let's spew some of the tea. First, I want to go. The first reason is this will be fun delusion. It happens to everyone, whether you start a podcast about podcasting, start a podcast about everything. It's a phase, right? Where you think, well, how hard can this be? It's not that hard. You talk, you record, boom, content. It's that simple. Then I learned about mic gain, EQ, and the fact that my voice sounds like a tired GPS. Okay. The first recording attempt I had with podcasting, I had a guest, and the internet, it was like they were like, let's come on podcast, let's see you. The internet was terrible. I ended up wasting 1 hour, 2 hours of my guest time video podcasting, and I was like, okay, it was stressful, man. It was touching my mental health. And I sat there and I said, I need to take a break. I canceled all the meetings I scheduled. And if you want the full gist of this story, you can let me know, and I'd make an episode on that. And what I then did was I canceled all the meetings, and I was like, I need to figure out something. And I was like, wait, do I not your only podcast? And that's a different podcast though. And that's so far I've been publishing consistently for that podcast. So this will be fun is when we look at the podcast, we're like, oh, these guys, they just talk, they basically just laugh and giggle and talk about stuff and all those things. It can't be that hard. I can probably start my own podcast too. Yeah, what's so difficult there? But the truth is, why it might seem that easy, it's not all easy like that. How do I put it now? The place where the grass is greener is filled with manure, right? Yeah. It's filled with manure, and some of you have other words you call it, cow dung and stuff like that. It's filled with manure. That's why it's green. And most of us, we see the green grass, but we don't see the manure. And every form of creative work has its own form of manure. There's a form of kind of like the dirty part that makes it green. So not necessarily dirt in a negative term, but dirt in terms of work that you have to put in. Right? And nobody talks about that. Everybody talks about, oh, the grass is green, it's green. Right, dude, what about the manure? Let's talk about that too. And usually every creative phase, you start something, you're like, oh, it's going to be fun, this thing is not that easy. And then you're like, a point where you start asking a question, your life choices, and asking yourself, what am I even doing in my life? Well, okay. The second reason why I started a podcast about podcasting which is more like the real reason, is I wanted to learn and build in public. Now, I do have another channel, another podcast where I learn and build in public about online stuff and all that, but I needed something specific, something measurable, something niched. And I was like, okay, let me start a podcast. And let me start a podcast about podcasting. Right now, I have over 7 podcasts, around 7 podcasts, and I do intend to start more. But for now, I just paused on starting more podcasts until I grow these 7 podcasts to a considerable measure of success, depending on what the case might be for each of the podcasts. But the real reason I was like, I want to learn in public. And I noticed that all the podcasts about podcasting, they give really good advice, and a lot of experts that are really, really good experts, right? They know their stuff. But nobody's actually building stuff in public. Nobody's actually experimenting, trying things and breaking things and doing stuff. And they actually have no idea if it will work or not work. And I was like, wait, that's a perception of me. That's who I am. And so this is for you, who you might be thinking that, oh, I'm not an expert on what I do. You don't have to be an expert. You just have to ask yourself, am I willing to do the work? Am I willing to figure it out? Because guess what? What I'm doing is that I'm testing stuff and I'm going the extra mile for you. So now you don't have to test those things. You don't have to make those mistakes. You just learn from me. I test things. I say, oh, this stuff doesn't work. This thing works. And you just learn from me. And you're like, wait, that stuff, there's nothing really special there. That stuff, there's something special there. Because it means you get to go do your stuff, focus on other things you do, and you trust me that I would test things and give you the real deal. That stuff is valuable. So if you have a niche that you really love, you really want to do, that gets you excited, but you're not exactly an expert in it, but you love learning about it, love researching about it, love testing and breaking things and trying things, depending on the industry, because I don't know the type of stuff you do. If it's practical, creative, I don't know, but you love that stuff. Then start building in public, start testing and doing stuff in public. And yeah, Yeah, basically that's it. Yeah, the goal is not you are sharing your story, right? Okay, enough of the advising. I probably should make an episode where I would advise you, but enough of the advising. Back to the reason. So the reason was to learn in public, to build in public, and to document my journey in public. That's why I started the podcast. Okay, I do have an outline of what I want to discuss, so that's why I'm looking at this stuff every so often. But as much as possible, I'll try and not look at it that much. Okay, so the question I ask myself is, if I can screw up publicly, at least it will show that I've built my reps, I've tried the stuff, and maybe you feel better about your own mic mishaps, about your own fears, your own anxiety, because then you get to see someone who you can connect with, basically. Yeah. And yeah, so even though I might not win, I might get to encourage you, inspire you, and you will both basically have a good time. And okay. And the other thing is that building in public, the other thing, and this is going to sound somehow, but I could have taken a course, but I'm like, no, I'm not going to take a course. I have decided to embarrass myself in front of strangers instead, in front of you. And why would I do that? Well, because failure is fun when you can monetize it. Yeah. Failure is fun when you can monetize it. Eventually. Yeah. Okay. And what is the other reason why I started a podcast deep down? The other reason why I started a podcast deep down is because I have this secret hope. I'm hoping a podcast company will hear about this. They would love my story, sponsor me. Someone will support my journey, right? Buy me a coffee. I do have a buy me coffee. You can support me. Shameless plug. I'm hoping that someone will see my journey, connect with me, and support me, and you get it. Secret hope. But yeah, I'm not dwelling on it. Yeah, so that's why I'm here. That's what the podcast is about. It's me trying things, testing out things and stuff like that. Now, I'm trying to build everything, and over time I won't start making promises, because I've noticed that in the past I used to make a lot of promises and I didn't keep them. So I'm gonna be building stuff, and I won't go too much specifics. The episode will come in live. I don't even know how frequent it will be for now, but I know it will be frequent, and yeah, I'll decide on the logistics for now. Yeah. So if you want to follow the journey along, you never want to miss anything, you want to get detailed breakdown, links, and everything that's happening, even before I record the podcast episode, you would want to subscribe to my newsletter, and the link will be in the description, or you could go to podnovation.com and you basically can subscribe to my newsletter that way. It's not, I don't send spam. You can also subscribe anytime. I don't send spam. I'll give you the actual stuff. And it's not like I send you links and I'm like, go watch the podcast. I give you valuable content you can consume in your newsletter without having to click or leave the newsletters. That way I save your time. And so if you spend 2 minutes, 3 minutes, you get value. And if you want to listen to the episode, you want to listen to me talk and yap, great, awesome, nice. Maybe probably you like the sound of my voice, nice. But if not, you get the value, and it's a both win-win for both of us. Okay, so in order to conclude this, so that's why I'm here, to make mistakes and hopefully monetize it, and to make the mistakes so you don't have to, and even though you get to connect with the mistakes depending on the type of mistakes too. Next episode, we're talking about my biggest podcasting fears, including the terror of hearing my own voice and many other things, right? And yeah, so I've been with you, Wisdom Conquer, and yeah, you've been listening to Podnovation. Until next time, keep podcasting. Wait, did I hit record? Wait, is this was this stuff recording? What? Okay.